So, you feel like your life is going nowhere, do you? Well, that's because it is. And I'm gonna fix it in 10 minutes or less!
A better you starts today.
Well, if you do a little squiz around the internet, which I paid someone else to do, and that will come up very quickly with this question over and over and over again. Do you think that I can have a threesome? Like, do you think my girlfriend would ever say that? That's probably number one. Number two is always, I feel like my life is going nowhere. Why? Because I didn't get the threesome. And there's probably other reasons that you don't as well. But, you know, we all want to have a threesome, and we all want our best friend in the corner watching and beating off, just giving us a nice little, oh, there you go, mate. Yeah, no, I'm pretty hot. You're pretty good fucking. We all want that. We all want that. But hey, if you're a new viewer, yeah, it's like this all the time. If you are one of these people that feels like that you are going nowhere in life, join the club. Everyone feels it. Everyone always feels, oh, I'm not doing anything in my life. You know why? You know, this is a huge point of, this is one of these things that, I don't know, your Paul Joseph Watsons are always talking about, but it is the crushing reality of modernity. It is one of those things. It's just, look, the reason you feel that, do you think that medieval peasants feel like my life's going nowhere? First off, they'd already be dead by whatever age you are. What, 21? Yeah, your granddad would be that age. And be like, I don't even have a son. I must have fucked at 8. And so, that happens. Good for him. Good for him for getting out that sperm that early. I don't know how they did it back then. But they would be doing all kinds of things in a day. And so they would never feel like, oh, I'm wasting my life away. You know what they'd feel? Leprosy. That's what they'd feel. And then we got rid of all of those challenges, which is the whole progression of humanity, right? It is just, as I'm always saying on this channel, this is why you should subscribe, so you can hear really profound things that I bet you've never heard any guest on Joe Rogan ever said before, which is that, life is just a bunch of problem solving. And so every generation has more and more problems solved. And now the amount of problems that are getting solved are exponential. What is the offset of that? You sitting there going, I feel like I'm not doing anything in my life. And it's true. In this day and age, life is so complicated that you will never get to experience all the things that you get to see on Instagram. No one ever will. You can specialize in making people feel really jealous about that one pitch point thing of like, he gets to skydive on a Tuesday. But most of you are not going to have that, like, you know, most of it is just a myth. We all know that anyway, right? So there is a bunch of things when it comes to advertising, when it comes to Instagram, which is basically just a giant billboard that you voluntarily look at. And just like, it's because it's very specific advertising to you. Wow, that guy's got a beard that isn't patchy. Look at how many bitches he's getting because of that unpatchy beard. That is why there is always going to be this feeling of lack that is just constantly dripping through everybody. This feeling of like, everyone else is going somewhere and I'm going nowhere. The reality of the situation is, yeah, there are some people that are just crushing it, and they are loyal viewers of this channel. And just another reason for you to subscribe. Just saying, everybody that's doing it here is crushing and actually living that life that you see on Instagram. That could be you. And especially the people that sign up to the Patreon, by the way, where you get up to 3 extra videos a week, just constantly hammering in at you, do the things that are going to get you that Instagram life. But because, look, the thing is, anyone that is living the life usually is a fucking idiot. They're just doing a couple of things differently to you. One of the main things is they don't feel they're a piece of shit for no reason, which I'm sure you do feel a lot all the time. Not me, however. I feel like I have earned smoking crack. So, you want to know what this is? Well, you're going to have to sign up to the Patreon paywall. Find out in one of those videos where we have a lot of fun without you. But if you are one of these people that feels this constant loneliness, not necessarily loneliness, just this feeling of like I'm being left behind. Being Bart Simpson without his soulmate so they can't row to the Soul Island. You're by yourself, just paddling around in a circle. Here's the major reason why. The major reason, first off, is that you are constantly being fed, and this is just how the modern world works, just being fed FOMO all the time. You're really not missing out on much. You're really not. As I've said before on this channel, if you go to those parties, you realize very quickly that everybody's sitting there so just with a camera in front of their face being like, I'm having heaps of fun, and I have a really hot body if I twist it like this, otherwise you can see the cellulite there. And so it's all just a sham. And everybody that's like having fun, they're acting. No one's having fucking fun. In fact, prove me wrong on this. No one has ever had fun on a fucking luxury boat. Unless, of course, you're extremely hammered. Then, yes, it is fun. Also, the food is great. Also, there's a lot of hot women on there. And they are loose. Look, it is the greatest experience that you've ever experienced in your life, and you are missing out massively. But the way that you get on that island, and the way that you're always feeling like, I'm not feeling like I'm doing anything, here's what I want you to write down. If you feel like you are stuck in life, that you just feel like you're going nowhere, there's a constant internet problem. Everyone always, I feel like I'm going nowhere. Recognize the first thing is that a lot of this is just conducive to you buying quick fix shit, and it's the modern conditioning or brainwashing of the modern age is everyone else is fucking killing it in life except you, right? There is that, but then isn't it scary? Isn't the modern world scary? But then the second thing is that you should always remember that if you feel stuck in life, if you feel like you're going nowhere in life, good. You know what that means? It means that you have currently mastered your current set of circumstances and you are not applying pressure on yourself. When people always ask me, how do I know if I'm killing it in life or not? What's the aim? What's all this success about? You don't have any of those feelings if you're working on mastering a new set of skills in anything. Like right now, when people say, but what do I master? I don't fucking know. What am I, your life coach? Well, if you signed with Jordan Shanks, I will be. But otherwise, if you're a free cunt, fuck off! To another video on this channel to keep the views up. But you are never, ever going to get me to say, this is what success looks like. You just don't know, because everybody else is going to have a different definition of it. This is why I hate phrases like left and right. It's the same reason. These are very nebulous ideas that you just think of it, and then people think of like, well, you'd be wearing a top hat, and you'd be walking around with a cone, and there's... Yes, obviously those are absolute stalwarts of success. You are not successful unless you're wearing a top hat at all times, even when you're in the bath. But other than that, you kind of have to set the parameters of that. But anybody that sits there and says, oh, I don't know what to master yet. I don't know what to master. Anything. I want you to get into the habit of mastery. It doesn't matter. Like, if you want to draw between the lines in a colouring in book. Remember when you were a kid and the first time that you did draw between the lines when you were colouring in, you're like, oh my God, I've done it. Yes! That was you mastering a skill that has served you very well in the age of laptops. Which shows how old I am, because we're in the age of iPhones. And I don't use them because I'm not a sucker. Well, I'm not. And I'm not. And then you are always going to be in this realm of not being able to think that my life is going nowhere. And ironically, when you aren't thinking that your life is going nowhere, it's going somewhere. And the way that you get it there is by you give yourself some other new challenge to push for. I don't care how small it is, I don't care how big it is. Preferably, I would much prefer, so that's a complete lie, I do care a lot. I want you to aim for something big because I want you to just be chomping on something for the next 10 years and then turn around like I did and be like, what the fuck, I'm in my 30s. Fuck. I want you to have that existential crisis. The classic, I'm a big shot in Hollywood. Shit, I'm 40. What happened to my face? You know, you want to get into that realm as opposed to just constantly mastering little skills. Although that can obviously help you as well. But the point is getting rid of this little feeling of like, I feel like I'm going nowhere in life. The reason that you are feeling that is because, A, you're not. But that's the whole thing. You're feeling that because it's true, because you have mastered the current life that you are in to a degree that is satisfactory to you. And so you just feel this endless stagnation of like, fuck, life is boring. And I get there all the time as well. This has happened to me many times. And you naturally go into it. This is what's so pernicious about it. There is just this thing of like, you don't really realize when you've mastered a skill. I mean, you've never really, okay, look. Yes, all those people, Japanese people saying you have a master's skill. Yes, yeah. Like, if you want to sit there and fucking pour tea correctly for the next 40 years, that's great. And it would be great. That would be sick if you were that good at pouring tea. But generally, in the go-go 2020s, you have to have a lot of feathers under your cap, and usually you can get those things fairly quickly, and then you move on to another skill. And look, the things that I'm doing now, there is no chance in hell that 19-year-old little friendly Geordies could do that. 22-year-old little friendly Geordies couldn't do what I'm doing now. It is purely the relation of doing this over and over again, setting myself new little challenges. Like this channel is now my new little challenge. Bringing down governments, that was another challenge. I thought I wouldn't be able to do that, but now I feel pretty fucking confident about it. I feel like I can do it. Because I've done it in the past. But the whole thing is, there would be a bunch of people that are like 19 thinking like, well, how did you do that? And it's like, I don't know, I just sat on YouTube and yelled for ages. The thing is, you are always going to have some other skill that is just outside your parameter. Now look at the crack pipe, just outside this crack pipe circle that you can and blow smoke out of, which expands the circle. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that there is always a skill that is just outside the circle that you should be aiming to master. And when you master that circle, just outside, always, when we're talking about that flow state that you're obviously looking for, you don't know this, but what you're really looking for when you're saying, I don't feel like my life is going anywhere, is you're feeling to enter flow state more. All of your life, all you are ever looking for is pretty much feelings. You're looking for feelings. That's it. Why do people go on roller coasters? So they're like, ah, yeah, when you could generate it yourself. So when you are sitting there being like, oh, nowhere, really, what is it? It's just boredom. It's boredom that you have. And so if you aim for a skill that is too hard and outside this circle, you're just going to feel completely frustrated. If you aim for a skill that is just outside that circle, that's where the nice challenge comes. When the circle goes from, and then you master it and it goes, and that becomes your little skill circle. Yeah? That's what you're aiming for. Now, here's the big point. When you are aiming for building all of these skills in life, it's not just to get rid of this idea of like, oh, I'm feeling like no longer, I've just done everything. Just feel like I'm not going anywhere in life. That's really like the little indicator in your head that like, oh, it's time for me to expand and do something else that's a challenge, right? It's not just that. The other thing that's really scary is a lot of people in their lives sit there and succumb to the whole, I don't feel like I'm going anywhere in life. And what's really scary about that is, and hear me now, this could save you wasting 10 to 15 to 20 years of your life. A lot of people get comfortable with that feeling because a lot of people have friends that are in that little circle and they're like, no, that's fine. Everything's fine in this little circle. And so they never, ever push to expand. Never. They sit inside that circle. They never try and make the bubble bigger. What a wasted 20, 30... Look, you've probably got older relatives that just got cool with like a truck driving business or something like that, and then that's all they do, and that's it. And there was never any growth or challenge in it. Because the real secret of the economy is that once you fill out a niche, you can kind of just keep giving that niche what it wants. Once you've hit that challenge, and that was really exciting when you were doing it, and then you can kind of just sit there and stagnate. And I really don't want that for you. I don't think you want that for yourself. I think you want to become the best person that you can possibly be. And the way that you do that is by ever acquiring unique skills in what you personally are good and adept at. But that means that you have to keep challenging yourself. So I want you to look at that whole like, I'm not going anywhere in life as a challenge that now it's time to expand. Because you're not going anywhere in life. Now, here's the big thing. To expand, what's the easiest way to do it? What's the easiest way? Do you know? Fucking dumbass. No wonder you come to this fucking channel, eh? Hey? Why did I get so staunchy all of a sudden? I've really got that like, you got a fucking wallet? I fucking know you do, hey? Give me your fucking everything in it. Maybe it's the jacket. There's very little difference between the 80s motivational coach and a crackhead, is there? But yes, now. Ugh. You know when you breathe in and your teeth get that kind of like shiver? Sorry, anyway. No, just me. Here's the big takeaway from all of this. You in your little circle, the quickest way to accumulate this skill is obviously to focus more of your time and effort on that skill. What do you have to do to focus more on your time and effort on that skill? Well, this is the harsh reality of your life. You constantly have to be thinking of yourself as a hermit crab and moving out of the shell that you're currently in. Just bringing the little scuttly crab of yourself to to another to another shell. That's the 20% of your life. Any point in your life, you should be trying to essentially just shed 80% of what you're currently doing and focusing on what you are really, really good at and getting someone else to do the other 80%, which they'd be really good at. You understand? So you're always trying to get that 80% is the shell. So I don't know what it is at the moment. Maybe the reason you feel like you're going nowhere in life, let me just guess. Lots of wanking, lots of video games, lots of fucking YouTube. Yeah, you've mastered that. You know where all the tabs are. You know where, you know the difference between Pornhub and Xtube, don't you? All right? So that is a skill that you've accumulated. Well done. But what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to discard all of those things that you have accumulated as a skill and drop them and know that you can go back and do them at any time. But nobody ever wants to do that. This is the sad point of why people kind of sit there and they go like, oh yeah, okay, well, I feel like I'm going nowhere in life, but everybody else feels like that as well, whatever. That's all true. But the reason that they never do it is because they are too scared to discard the little crab shell that they probably fought another crab for and be like, mine. But the thing is, there's a bigger shell out there. But they're happy with staying in this shell that they're too small for now. And when they're a bigger crab, they should move into that other shell. And so what are you doing then? That's my big question to you. Are you man enough to get rid of the 80%? Are you man enough to get rid of the 80% in your life? Because that's the way that you are definitely going to. That's burning your bridges. That's saying, all right, I'm just going to focus that 80% that I used to focus on all these bullshit tasks on my new task to expand that circle. You wanted something that is just going to light a fire up under you and give you some vigoration about your life and where it's going. That's what it's going to do. When you're able to just discard what you were previously doing before, let someone else handle that. They need to understand those skills. Or it would be some skill in their little tool belt that would be good for their accumulation in life. When you're able to just say, nah, that's all behind me, time for another 20%. Time for another 80% to be focused on that. We're talking about 80% of the activities in your life now. Are you man enough to do that? Are you man enough to look at your life right now? Let's find out together then, shall we? Let's do the little homework. Sorry that this went on for 17 minutes. Are you able to look at your life and the tasks that you do and eliminate the tasks that you don't want to do? Are you able to sit there and do that? Let's find out together. What are you currently doing in your life? What's the 20% of your life that you should be focusing more attention on? What is that? That would be 3 tasks that you're doing. Let's find out what those 3 tasks are. Let's then try and get rid of all of these other tasks. And there'd be a bunch of ones that you can just immediately do like, but it's badminton day. Tuesday's badminton day. You can just disregard that immediately. And you can focus it on building another skill set. Because if you're feeling like that you're stuck in a rut, it's because you're just living Groundhog Day. Isn't that a sad thing to do with the 80,000 days that you're awarded, realizing that you spent 20,000 doing exactly the same thing until you kind of just, this is the other thing, you will just naturally move into another shell anyway. It'll just be a shitter shell than the one that you're like aiming for if you're deliberately focusing on your skills. Do you want that? Do you want to go back and look at your life while it's flashing before your eyes when you're about to die and you think like, yeah, probably could have done a lot more. Who am I kidding? It was a lot. Beep, right? That's what we want to get you not to do. The way that we're not going to do that is we are going to write down that rut feeling that you are in. Why do you feel like you're stuck? No skill. What is the skill that you are going to accumulate in? What are you going to like push towards? Not even the skill. What is the goal that you're going to push towards? And how do you get rid of this 80% shit that is there? That's the big questions that we're going to be asking. 1, what is the goal that you're going to move towards? That will instantly get rid of the feeling of, I go nowhere in life. At least you've got somewhere to fucking aim your arrow, right? But then, what's the 80% that you can get rid of so that you've got more time to focus on that goal? I'll see you next time, unless you sign up to Jordan Shanks, and make sure that you do, because then you get a life coach for the price of a bagel! I think. I've never bought one in my life. But it's really cheap. And I'm way better than the ones that charge hundreds of bucks. You're missing out. Everybody else is having fun except you. FOMO.